Jimmy Carter, the 39th President of the United States, is a man whose life story is as extraordinary as it is humble. From his early years as a peanut farmer in rural Georgia to leading the nation through a turbulent period, Carter's journey has been marked by an unwavering commitment to service, peace, and human rights. But how did a man from a small town rise to become one of the most respected figures in global politics? Let's take a closer look at his life. Born on October 1, 1924, in Plains, Georgia, James Earl Carter, Jr. was raised in the heart of the South. He came from modest beginnings. His father, Earl Carter, was a successful peanut farmer, and his mother, Lillian, was a registered nurse who inspired Jimmy with her compassion and dedication to others. The Carters lived through the Great Depression, and young Jimmy learned the value of hard work early on. He was a smart and curious child, excelling in school and showing an early interest in science and engineering. But despite their financial struggles, the Carter family was close-knit, and Jimmy's parents instilled in him a strong sense of morality and a desire to help others. After graduating from high school, Carter followed in the footsteps of many young men of his time and enlisted in the U.S. Naval Academy in Annapolis. There, he earned his degree and was commissioned as a naval officer. He went on to serve in the U.S. Navy's nuclear submarine program, where he gained technical skills and leadership experience. But after the untimely death of his father in 1953, Jimmy made a pivotal decision. He returned home to Georgia to take over the family's peanut farm. In the 1960s, Carter entered the world of politics. His first step was as a state senator in Georgia, where he began to build a reputation for honesty and integrity. Carter ran for governor of Georgia in 1970, winning the race and taking office in 1971. As governor, Carter implemented several reforms, including improvements to the state's education system, environmental protection, and criminal justice. But perhaps his most controversial stance was his commitment to racial equality. In a time when the South was deeply segregated, Carter stood firm in advocating for civil rights, earning both praise and backlash. In 1976, Carter took his political career to the next level by running for president. Coming off the Watergate scandal and the resignation of Richard Nixon, the country was desperate for change and transparency. Carter, with his reputation for honesty and being an outsider, capitalized on this desire for renewal. With his modest background and emphasis on honesty, Carter captured the American public's attention. He won the Democratic nomination and, in a close race, defeated the incumbent Gerald Ford to become the 39th President of the United States. Carter's presidency, though filled with challenges, saw significant achievements. One of his most notable accomplishments was brokering the Camp David Accords in 1978. This landmark peace agreement between Egypt and Israel, which ended years of hostilities between the two nations, earned him worldwide praise and ultimately the Nobel Peace Prize in 2002. Carter also worked on domestic issues, such as energy conservation, healthcare reform, and human rights. His focus on energy led to the creation of the Department of Energy and a push for more renewable resources. And, despite facing economic difficulties like the oil crisis and high inflation, he remained a strong advocate for human rights around the world. However, Carter's presidency was marred by the Iran hostage crisis. In 1979, militants seized the U.S. Embassy in Tehran, taking 52 American diplomats hostage. The crisis lasted for 444 days, casting a shadow over Carter's leadership and contributing to his loss in the 1980 presidential election to Ronald Reagan. Despite the difficulties he faced during his presidency, Carter's legacy has only grown stronger with time. After leaving the White House, Carter didn't fade into the background. In fact, his post-presidential life became an extraordinary example of public service. He and his wife, Rosalind, dedicated their time to global peace, humanitarian efforts, and fighting disease. They became deeply involved in Habitat for Humanity, helping to build homes for those in need around the world. Carter also became a leading advocate for human rights, democracy, and international diplomacy. His work through the Carter Center has been instrumental in promoting peace, eradicating diseases like guinea worm disease, and fostering democratic elections in developing nations. Even in his 90s, Carter continues to work tirelessly, proving that his commitment to public service has no expiration date. In his later years, he has faced health challenges, including being diagnosed with cancer, yet he remains an inspiration to millions worldwide. His legacy isn't just defined by his time in office, but by his enduring dedication to peace, human rights, and making the world a better place for future generations. Jimmy Carter's life reminds us that service to others is the highest calling. From a peanut farmer to a global leader, his story is one of resilience, integrity, and a lifelong commitment to making the world a better place. His journey may have started in a small town in Georgia, but it has made an impact that will be felt for generations to come. Thank you for joining us today to explore the remarkable life of Jimmy Carter. If you found these tips helpful, make sure to subscribe for more deep dives into YouTube growth strategies. Thank you for joining us today to explore the remarkable life of Jimmy Carter.